are some intangibles that those projections failed to take into consideration.
The crowd was going crazy. There's not much in life that's better than that.
You're listening to Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys on the 95.7 The Game Podcast Network.
Hello there. Welcome back to the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast. Sam Loveman here with Joe the Butcher Boy Shasky. Episode 54. Shasky, 54. It feels like the number of hits that Casey Schmitt got last week. He was such a revelation. The Giants finally called him up. We got our wish that we made on opening day. So we're going to be talking about a lot of Casey Schmitt here today. We got some also other thoughts about the rest of the Giants team that is probably not as exciting. So let's start with the exciting stuff. Casey Schmitt, Shasky, you've been banging on the Casey Schmitt drum for months now. It finally happened. I want to know, what was your reaction when you found out, when you got the Twitter notification that Casey Schmitt was coming to the big leagues?
Well, I was extremely excited as we celebrate the 54th episode of Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys. I want to thank all the people that have been downloading, liking, and subscribing on our Apple and iTunes and all the different feeds of how you get podcasts. 54 for not Scott Alexander, Sergio Romo, one of the great 54 Giant arms of all time. So as we celebrate the 55th episode, we'll be celebrating Tim Lincecum. I definitely want to get into that. Casey Schmitt. I was super excited to see him. Obviously, it stinks that Crawford got injured, but Estrada had kind of jammed his arm, at shortstop. And actually, I think Estrada's been admirable at shortstop, considering he's not a defensive first guy. So I was really excited to see Casey Schmitt. And boy, just 1 week. I mean, we've only gotten, 5 games? Whatever it is. Yeah. He hits a couple of jacks, and to me, he just looks different. I had a buddy go to the game Tuesday night, which was his first game, and he goes, and he's a big baseball guy, my buddy Jimbo, and he goes, the guy just fields the ball differently. I go, that's exactly what I've been telling you. And obviously the bat is a little farther along than we all thought, because I think we all thought the bat was going to be kind of a struggle, or at least a work in progress. His arm is electric. I can't remember the last time. I mean, really, he's a third baseman. That's what I view him as. I can't remember, and he got to play that yesterday. I can't remember a guy with that strong of an arm at third base since Matt Williams. Seriously, and I'm not disrespecting Evan Longoria. He was a very good glove, but his arm was plus. Casey's is plus.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure you saw the tweet from Sarah Lang. She put out, Casey Schmitt threw that ball, 92 miles an hour across the diamond. One of the hardest throws ever recorded in the StatCast era. I mean, you talk about hard throwing, infielders. First one that comes to my mind is Neifi Perez. Remember him? He had the Neifi cannon at short. He was another guy who could throw it. Of course, I don't think they were tracking shortstop throws back then, but that's Casey Schmitt. He was a former pitcher, so he's going to be bringing it on all these throws. And yeah, I mean, when I saw him come up, or when I heard he was coming up, it was exciting to me because we're finally seeing the future arrive. Yes. This is what we've been promised. This is what we've been kind of waiting to see here. We've been seeing, we have Cole Waits. He showed up last year. He was the first draft pick overall by Farhan to make it here, but this was the first position player. And this is where it really starts to kind of feel real, that the new wave, the reinforcements are coming. I remember back in 2008, we had Pablo Sandoval come up. Now, no one was really waiting for Sandoval to arrive, but when he showed up and he started hitting every day, it changed the mood that Giants fans felt. The Giants would go out, maybe they lose, maybe they get kicked around, maybe they lose, 10-3. But Pablo Sandoval, he's the reason why they scored those 3 runs. And you're feeling excited, they lost, but that Sandoval guy, he looked really good. You're feeling that same way about Casey Schmitt. Win or lose, I don't care. Casey Schmitt went deep today, so I don't care. I'm happy. That both those home runs were great. The home run he hit in Arizona, he, as Mike Krukow liked to say, he really nutted that one. And it's just things like that. I know the Giants still won that game, but the loss, this is where a guy like Casey Schmitt really helps, is that when you lose baseball games, but he gets a couple hits, maybe makes good defensive play, you can kind of, I don't want to say shake off the loss, but the loss doesn't sting as much because there's a positive that you can take with it. And as a fan, that's something that you need. And if you're Farhan Zaidi, that's something you absolutely need.
Well, and one thing he provides almost immediately, athleticism. I mean, you should see this guy move left and right. Now, I don't even think he's their best athlete in terms of what they have in the minor league system, but you could see it. I mean, he jumped for a couple of balls at shortstop. Clearly he's got the glove, but how about the bat? Now, look, I don't think Crawford will be known for his bat, but this year the bat is struggling. He's got 12 hits in 75 at-bats. In 1 week of being called up, listen to these numbers for Casey Schmitt. 11 hits in 24 at-bats, 5 runs scored, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs, and only 4 strikeouts. 3 of them coming yesterday in basically a 2-1, loss to Arizona. But when I look over at Arizona, because I went to the series this weekend, and I'm sitting in the stands and I'm saying, who is a must-see at bat where I can't get up to go get food? I don't want to walk around and venture through the stadium. It's Casey Schmitt. I want to see Casey Schmitt hit. And not only is he driving the ball, but I watched him go oppo on Saturday, after not having the greatest day at the plate. Like, he took a little off his swing. He went opposite field. He gets the single. Again, 11 hits in his first week. And he joins a guy, Will Clark, in homering in his first ever game as a San Francisco Giant. That's pretty cool. I think it's been an unbelievable banner week for Casey Schmitt. Is he a Hall of Fame talent? Come on. It's way too soon. But in terms of being excited because he represents the first wave of 4 drafted guys to come through the system, let's go.
I mean, is it too early to go on the Hall of Fame hype? No, it is. It absolutely is. But when you're a few games into your career and they're showing graphics of your name next to, Willie McCovey's name, you're doing something right. And that's what he's doing. He got off to a great start, and that's what you want. You just want a good start. When prospects have great starts, it just makes you feel a little bit better. I remember I was at Buster Posey's first game in 2010. He had 3 hits that night. I think they were all singles. Whatever, they're singles are cool and whatnot. But you just were happy that he got off to a great start there. And that kind of set the tone. Brandon Crawford, his first game, he also went deep. And again, that sets the tone. Now, you talk about guys, who do I get excited for in this lineup? Casey Schmitt, he's a lean forward guy. When you're watching a Giants game, I'm going to slouch my chair. I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is boring. Then Casey Schmitt steps up. Ooh, all right, here we go. Casey Schmitt, here comes the thump. It reminds me of kind of like when Joey Bart came up in 2020. I didn't care if Joey Bart was going to do good or not. But when he stepped to the plate, it's like, all right. Like, here we go. This is what we want to see. And
Sam,
this kind of, yeah.
No, I was gonna let me just jump in here. Like,
no, go ahead.
It's not only is like he exciting to watch, but it wasn't like, oh, he had 4 hits one day and then none for 3 or 4 days. Listen to these game logs since he came up. Now it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in total. But hear me out here. 2 hits in his first game, 2 hits in his next game, 4 hits in the game after that, 1 hit, 2 hits. And yesterday, he had the 3 strikeouts. He went 0 for 4. But he's had a multi-hit game in 4 out of the 6 games that he's played, and he's hit safely in 5 of them. So, like, this isn't a guy who's feast or famine. Like, you're showing, and look, it's the first week. Like, let's see what happens when the league adjusts to him, and then he has to make the adjustment to the league itself.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a little bit.
But like, Sam, he's hit breaking balls. He's hit fastballs. I've seen him drive the ball down the left field line. I've seen him drive it to right center. I've seen him hit back up the middle. Like, I'm really excited for this guy, and I don't know what he can end up becoming. I don't know, man. All-star, Silver Slugger, like, put that to the side. Young, promising player who I hope can lead a charge of a wave of other young players to come through. That's all I want, and I want to see him play short, second, third base. I want it all.
Yeah, and I think that, again, I think that gets into the point of just the real excitement around Casey Schmitt, and also just what it means for the organization. We always talk about, what's the direction of this team? What's the vision? I can't see the vision. I always hear people saying that. And this is where you could finally start getting to the point where it's like, this is the vision. Casey Schmitt in the lineup. That is the vision. There was a moment in, I think it was the Thursday night's game where it was in the ninth. Yeah, it was the ninth inning of Thursday night's game. You had a couple runners on already. And then Casey Schmitt hits a, line drive up the middle. He had the double there. He had the double there on in the ninth inning Friday night. That brought in a run. Joey Bart hit a base hit. That brought up another run. Lamont Wade Jr. has the infield single that brings in another run. And I'm watching this. I'm like, those are your 6, 7, 8 guys right there. Like, that's kind of your future.
Yeah.
Like, you're wondering, what's the future of the Giants going to look like? JD Davis and Michael Conforto were ahead of them in the lineup. I don't know where JD Davis is in the future of the Giants. I definitely think he's a short-term option there. But the point is, we always complain about how this lineup is full of guys who you don't think are going to be around. There's no reason to get attached to them, but you had a 4 through 8 slot right there that, Davis, not Conforto, Schmitt, Bart, and Lamont Wade Jr., who you could look at and say, like, for the next 3 years, plus, those are guys who you could maybe get attached to and expect to contribute to this lineup on a regular basis.
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. And also, he went up against Zach Gallen, who I believe to be one of the upper echelon pitchers in all of baseball. He's
on so many Cy Young favorites right now.
Exactly. So. And I didn't think he looked overmatched, and that to me is a good thing. A righty on righty matchup. Look, I'm excited. I'm optimistic. It's not even just Casey Schmitt as himself. To me, it's what he represents.
Mm-hmm.
Optimism, hope, something exciting that's young. And as I look across the diamond at the Arizona Diamondbacks, their entire roster feels like it's 25 or younger. I mean, for the most part, it really does. And they're a lot quicker and they're smaller guys. Here's a tall, lanky dude, 6'2". I think he's about 210, 215. He'll grow into his body. But I'm seeing a young athletic guy who's under 25.
We need that. Yeah, it's a great reason to be excited. We really wanted to see him on the opening day roster. We were bummed. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. I know we're excited, but there's the fact that it took so long for him to get up. I think a part of me, we talked about this with Bonte before the show this morning. There was a little bit of frustration about the fact that it took so long, and I get that. I remember in 2010, we were waiting for Buster Posey to come up for a month. Why are we sticking with Benji Molina? And he finally comes up, and there's a part of me that says, I'm irritated that he wasn't on the opening day roster. It would have been really cool to see him at Yankee Stadium towing the line. Totally. And, who knows? I doubt he makes that. Maybe the Giants still probably lose 2 or 3. I don't know, but it would have been nice to see him there. But there's another part of me that's like, looking back on it now, I don't care when Buster Posey got called up. Yeah, he got called up in May. But at the end of the year, do we really care? No, we didn't care that he got called up in May because they still won the World Series. I think there could come a point where maybe we don't care that Casey Schmitt got called up so late, but I'm just kind of curious, what camp are you in? Are you in the why did it take so long camp, or are you in the, he's here, let's just roll with it? Or is it a mix of both?
I mean, right now he's here, so I might as well just enjoy it. But I'm not going to lie. What are we doing? Really? He needed a month in the minors? Really? Now, Kyle Harrison, I think Kyle Harrison still needs to learn how to go deeper in games, how to control the strike zone so he doesn't get his pitch count up. He's 21 as opposed to 24. Seeing that they had a gaping hole up the middle in terms of their positional depth. Also, I'll give them this. They had to allow VR to almost play himself out of a spot because they were trying to reward him. And I get that. I really do. I get that thought process, but you didn't have a logical backup shortstop. And when Crawford kind of struggled out the gates, look, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm just happy he's here and I'm going to enjoy it. Now, the key is keep him up, and he needs to play third, second, short. Find spots for this guy. Another thing I noticed over the weekend, and I know we're going off on a tangent. You referenced Lamont Wade Jr. He's much better defensively at first base than I gave him credit for.
I know Brandon Belt said he was, and we kind of scoffed at that. But yeah, I mean, Lamont, I'm not noticing his defense. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not noticing it in a negative way.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just he's there.
I thought
he'd be bad. The best umpires are the umpires you never know.
Yes.
I feel like a great defender is obviously, you like your highlight plays that Brandon Crawford would make. But if I can't get Gold Glove caliber defense, give me defense that I'm never ever thinking about. Well, and that's kind of what Lamont Wade Jr. has done. Really quick, I do kind of want to just take a step back and just kind of talk about the time it took for him to come up for Casey
I'm sorry.
Schmitt. Yeah, because I do have some thoughts there. I do believe, first off, from people I've talked to, there is kind of an industry-wide kind of preference to advance some of these guys up from the minor leagues into the big leagues. Again, I don't know how serious certain teams are taking that. I know it's easy to look at kind of like a Julio Rodriguez and be like, well, why can't you just fast track him? Julio Rodriguez is a different kind of prospect.
He's a unicorn.
Casey Schmitt. Yeah, he is. So I think there's a little bit of that. I do know they wanted to get Casey Schmitt some time at second base, and that resulted in all of 3 games that he played there in Sacramento. I guess time at second. He did play a little bit of second in spring training, if I recall. I think another thing they really wanted to see out of Casey Schmitt was they really wanted to see him improve that walk rate. You talk about he's 24 at-bats in, or 24 plate appearances in. He's yet to draw a walk. Just really quick, his walk rates as he progressed through the minors. At high A ball in 383 plate appearances, he had 11% walk rate and a 22% strikeout rate. And then at the next level, double A, it was a 4% walk rate, 22% strikeouts. That was in 127 plate appearances. And then at the triple A level, 161 plate appearances, 5% walk rate. And he had no walks in AAA last year. Granted, not a whole lot of at-bats. And then a 20% strikeout rate. So I know they really wanted him to work on those numbers, maybe bring the strikeout rate down a bit, the walk rate up a bit. But then when you're hitting 313 and you're kind of hurting up the middle, he kind of forced their hand with the bat. And you know what? He's going to have to work on those things at the big league level now.
Do you know what Matt Williams' walk rate was? Honest to God. No,
it probably doesn't matter.
No, and he struck out a lot. But you know what? He hit the ball hard all over the place, and he hit for good power numbers, and he was great defensively. So I think we obsess about the walk. I'm going to be honest with you, and I watched it yesterday. Great example is yesterday. Batters 4 through 9. Okay, 4 through 9. Didn't get a hit yesterday. Their 2-strike approach is abysmal. And Casey was one of those guys. They struck out 12 times again yesterday. I don't care about the walk. This team does not put the ball in play a whole lot. Casey is one of the few. Now, I know yesterday notwithstanding, but he's one of the few who does put the ball in play, right?
Yeah.
So I can live with that. On this team with high strikeout numbers across the board, he's not one of their high strikeout guys, at least through 25 at-bats. And it's a small, we're talking a small sample
size.
size.
You could absolutely play a small sample size card here. But
what are we expecting? These guys to be like perfectly baked cookies at the end of a 2-month stint in the minors? I'll take the positives. He can work on the walk rate over the next 10 years of his career at the big league level. I'm not tripping on walks.
Yeah, he'll get there when he gets there. But yeah, it is something he's going to have to work on.